Okay, it is time to winterize the 2006 Fleetwood Prowler, model number 310-2 BDS. It's a bunkhouse. Alright, multiple things we're going to need to drain down before we start. One is the water heater, which is located inside here. And then there's a low point drain just underneath the back. So let's get underneath and check that. Okay, I got some cardboard set up. Low point drain, you can see right there. It's just to the right, a little bit of the spare tire. So get down underneath here. You're going to see it right here. Now, the factory had these plugs here directly into the top. I installed these valves because basically how it works now is when you pull the plug and it's kind of half done, you get water all over yourself. So this makes it a little easier. So I've already had this apart, so we're probably not going to see much of anything drain out of here now. So we'll pull both of these. We might get a little bit. Yeah, a little bit out of that one. Pull this one too here. And pull that one there. Okay. Now we're going to come back here at the end once we have the pump with antifreeze in it and open these up. We're going to set this right here for now and just make sure that we got antifreeze flowing through everything. So I'm going to shut them for now. Okay. Now we're going to do the water heater. Just as a tip, prior to draining the water heater, make sure the water heater is completely off. This particular water heater can operate both on gas or electric. Make sure that it is off prior to doing that. Which is located right here. Twist this whole thing here and that comes down. And here's the plug, which is in pretty bad shape. I've actually purchased some new plugs to put back in it for the beginning of the year. It's kind of in a weird spot. You can sort of get your crescent wrench in right here and take it out. So you can see I'll just pull that out here. Alright, so we're going to get this out here. And then if you look up here, the relief valve, little orange thing, pull that and then open that relief valve, and that gives you full flow. And it's going to go ahead and drain out that 5 gallons of water that's in there. Alright, looks like the water heater will continue to just dribble a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and leave both valves open for the moment. When I'm completely done, I will shut this valve and probably leave that one open over the winter and then shut the door up. So let's go inside and take the next step. Okay, now we need to locate the water heater. So in this model, here's the bathroom. And it's right from here. There's a drawer here. You pull the drawer out and there's 2 levers on the side here. You just pull one up and one down and the drawer pulls out. And then this has a panel that sits in like this. And there's 4 screws that basically hold that in. So I've already popped those screws out, and this gives us access in here to where the water heater is. Okay, this is fitted with a 2 bypass valves, which allow us to winterize everything without having to fill the tank up with water. So this particular pipe on the right is the water coming into the water heater. So under normal operation, this valve is closed, this valve is open. Water comes up through here, can't go up, goes this way and fills the water heater from the bottom. Water is heated in the water heater, comes out the water heater going this way. It can't go there because that valve is shut, and then down this tube here. So what we need to do is take the water heater out of the system. So we take these valves and we just, this one which is normally open, we're going to shut it, and this one which is normally closed, we're going to open it. So what that's going to do then is the water comes up. It can't go into the water heater. It comes up through here. It can't go back into the top of the water heater because way up in here there's a one-way valve. It won't allow water to go backwards through the water heater. So then it basically makes it start up and then right back down to the entire system, taking the water heater out of the system. Now, one thing that I always check for is low spots. This is a low spot right here. We could have water sitting here. There's also a low spot right here, kind of dives down in this area. So once we have pressure on the system for this one, I'm actually going to take and open this valve just for a second and spray some antifreeze in here, which will go into the tank. The valve is still outside, so it's going to basically allow it just to run out. And also, once we're not under pressure, I'm going to take and open this right here. I'll just unscrew this and then just tip it down and make sure there is no water in there as well. So let's take and shut this valve, or open that valve, excuse me, and shut this valve. Now the water heater is ready until we basically attack those two low spots, which we can actually do the top one now. So I'm just going to at least have these little thumb screws. I'm going to take this off. See, that's a little one-way valve right in there. I'm going to tip this down. Really not much anything in there, just a couple of dribbles, but it's important to get it out. Okay, we'll go ahead and hook that right back up. Make sure you have some rags with you. Okay. Again, we'll do this one once we're under pressure. Squirt a little antifreeze back through that one. We just finished up with the water heater. Now it's time to locate the pump in the front of this. There's a little storage hole back here, and then there's a little panel that sits about a foot in right there. I've already removed the panel. And then inside here is the pump. Now you can see, get a better view on this here. This hose here is my pressure hose. The hose down below it is my inlet hose from the tank. And this little clear plastic thing is a filter. What we're going to do is we're going to hook a hose directly onto the pump, which is going to go into our antifreeze. So we're going to disconnect this filter. To do that, we first need to take a 5/16, loosen this clamp right here, and the filter will actually spin off by hand. Okay, our inlet side has been removed, as you can see right here, and then to that we have connected this hose, auxiliary hose, which comes out here, goes into this 5-gallon bucket, which we will fill with antifreeze, and turn the pump on and purge all the faucets. Alright, we started with about 3.5 gallons of antifreeze, and we have 5 faucets that we need to purge. The main faucet, the sprayer, we have a sink in the rear here, actually 6, the toilet, the shower, and there's also a shower externally outside, and we need to make sure we do both hot and cold sides on both of those. Alright, now we have antifreeze in the bucket. We started with about 3.5 gallons. We're going to turn the pump on. Now, because there is going to be an air bubble in there, we want to turn a faucet on prior to turning the pump on. Give you a little pressure in the system here. There we go, pump is on. That's going to start pumping antifreeze, and we're going to start seeing it come out. Alright, look at that. We already got pink coming out of there. We are on the hot side. Now let's turn it to the cold side. We'll go back to regular water. Now we're starting to see the pink through again. I usually give it a good 20 seconds of run time. We're going to shut that off. The pump is already pressurized. Let's check our antifreeze level. Now we're down a little bit here. So now let's go ahead and go to the sprayer. One thing about this, especially if you have more than one sink, let's turn this on one, go to the sprayer. Make sure both drains are getting plenty of pink, because we need the P-traps in there to have pink. So there's the hot side. Let's switch it over to the cold side again. You got the water, you can see. It just turned pink now. So you can see we got plenty in there. Cold again. I just really want to make sure I got that out of there. Over to this sink, make sure we got plenty in there. Okay, let's see where we're at here. Okay, we're down about a gallon. I'm going to go ahead and put another gallon in and we'll move on to the next one. Alright, I've added another gallon. Nothing like running out of antifreeze in this, which really makes it a pain in the butt. So this sink is done hot and cold side. Both P-traps have plenty of antifreeze in it, and we also got the sprayer. Now we're going to come down to this sink over here. Turn it cold first. Empty water. Now it's turned to pink. Give that a good 10 seconds to run. Then we're going to go to the hot side. Turn to pink. Okay, looks good. Now we're going to do the toilet, going right in order. Now once I've done all these and I've finished all the steps, while I'm still under pressure, I'll probably go back through and just hit every one again just for a second or two to make sure I didn't get any water pushed backwards in any of the lines during this process. Okay, so the water, there we go. There's a nice solid pink stream. Shut it down. Make sure. There we are. Okay. Now onto the shower here. The shower, you have a top valve or a top shower head sprayer, which you can run antifreeze through, but what I find is just easier is to just disconnect that down here at the bottom. Simply unscrew it. Make sure the valve is open on the top. There we go. Open the valve. Drain that down. And just let that hang like that, and that'll be my indication in the spring that that was drained and just left like that. Now we're going to do the hot side. There we go. Nice pink color. Do the cold side. Okay. Another one again. Make sure we got plenty of antifreeze. Going to go down that P-trap down there. Looks like we're out of level just a little bit where I'm sitting. I'll squeegee that in a little bit. Okay, so we've done the sprayer and the tub hot and cold. We've done the toilet hot and cold. We've done the vanity sink hot and cold. Everything in the front. Remember, we come back to this water heater here. Now I've already pulled this top valve and drained that. I have the plug out and this valve shut, so I'm going to open this just for a second and shut it. All I did was spray a little antifreeze, maybe do it one more little antifreeze through this line into the water heater, which is going to drain out, so I know that there's antifreeze sitting in this low spot there. Okay, now I think we're ready to go to the outside and do the valve for the city water pressure as well as the shower. Okay, I've removed the cover for the shower on the exterior between the two slides. Keep in mind that we're still under pressure and the pump is still on with the antifreeze in the bucket. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pull the hose down and we're going to do each one of these valves. Now the one thing to keep in mind is there's about a 5-foot hose here that's going to be full. So when I switch from hot to cold, it's going to appear like there's antifreeze in there, but it's just clearing out the line. So that's one thing to remember. So let's go ahead and turn the hot on here. We got this regular water stream coming through. It's kind of pulsing because of the pump. I think we got pink. Yeah, you can kind of see the pink color. And yeah, so we got a good flow of pink there. Alright, so I'm going to shut the hot down. I'm going to turn the cold on. Now you're going to see pink for a little while here, but then it's going to go back to white as it clears the line. So I got to wait for the antifreeze to come through so you can see pink again. There we go, it's starting to turn color. Really want to wait for it to give that nice dark color so you know it's pretty much solid antifreeze and not mixed with water. Okay, so we got that. So now the shower system is taken care of. Here is where the city water comes in, and behind here is a little one-way valve. We got to peel out this little filter here. This little one-way valve allows, when you're under the pump pressure, for it not to come out. You need to take a poker object of some kind. I just grabbed a dowel here. Use a screwdriver. We're going to push in on this little thing here. That's going to allow pump pressure to come back through, so we know the line from here to the pump has antifreeze in it. So let's push this in. There we go. We brought most of it up with the shower. We can let that run for a second. Looks like it's good and pink. We're good to go. There. Got that valve a little stuck. Sometimes it'll hop sideways on you, but I got it out. So, all right. Now, for the most part, every part on this should have antifreeze in it, except for, remember we talked about, let's just let that there, those low point drains in the back that we were going to come back and hit. Let's do that right now. So lay down some cardboard. And we're just going to make sure we got antifreeze coming out of both of these here. There's pink. And there's pink on that one. So now we just put these plugs back in and we should be good to go. Alright, back inside now. We look in the tank and it's just about gone there. We started with about 4.5 gallons of antifreeze. There's maybe a half gallon in there. So we used about 4 gallons in total. Now to do this, you're going to want probably at least pretty close to 6 gallons. And you're going to have some here that you're going to use a funnel and dump it back in the containers because you don't want to run this container dry in the middle of doing that and you get air bubbles and all kinds of problems. Now, the only thing left to do is to take and disconnect this line going to the pink antifreeze and rehook the supply line from the tank. But prior to doing that, we're going to go outside and disconnect that line from the tank itself because there's a low spot there as well. I don't know that there's anything in it. I don't think there is, but just to be sure, while that line is disconnected, we're going to go outside and unhook that line and just make sure there's nothing in it. Okay, so directly under the front here to the right of the steps is the tank for the water. And you can see that inlet right here. This is that line that goes directly up. It has the filter attached to it that's hooked to the pump. We're going to take and disconnect this line right here and just make sure it's there's nothing in it. There's also a valve over there, which I'm getting kind of some funky light for the main tank drain, and we're going to hit that now. So I'm going to go around and open that drain. All right, coming around to the front where the main water tank is. This is the fill for the main water tank. Right underneath here is the drain for the main tank. We want to pull this. Make sure there's nothing in it. As you can see, barely anything at all. So we're gonna let that dribble for a sec. We're gonna go back to the other side, pull that line for the fill because it's a low spot, and make sure that's empty. While I go around here, let's talk about tanks. Last trip we had on this, I had both. Well, I guess you should say this, like most campers, have 3 tanks: a freshwater tank, a gray water tank, and a black water tank. The gray and black water tank were drained at the last campsite. So now when I've gone through and put antifreeze into the toilet and antifreeze in all the sinks, there is going to be a small amount of antifreeze over the winter that's going to sit in those tanks, and that's just fine. As far as the fresh water on this, like you can see, will drain it completely. Even though this stuff is non-toxic, there's no sense in putting it in the tank if I don't have to. So we're going to disconnect this line right here and just make sure that there's nothing in it. This is a 5/16. It's giving me some trouble one-handed here. Switch to 2 hands to get most of it off here, and yeah, look at that. Not much, but that sure is enough to take and cause a problem. And something freeze and crack. And this here is a higher point on the tank. You can see someone at one time has used the pink stuff. It's actually stained this elbow here. And if you take steps like this and get everything dry and avoid having that, I would in that regard. Okay, so we're going to let both these drip for a second here. I will not leave this disconnected over the winter. I'll go ahead, and once it's drained for a few minutes, hook it back up. We just don't want to encourage bugs or anything like that to kind of climb up into these areas. Okay, So to recap, I've now replaced the plugs in those low line drains back here. Water heater's been draining. I'm going to go ahead and leave that out over the winter. I have a brand new one of these which we will insert next spring, because you can see this one's pretty chewed up because you just can't get a wrench in there at a good angle. We're going to go ahead and put our thread protector back in our safety valve here and go ahead and close that. This is ready for winter storage. And actually, you know what I think I will do? I think I will, since there's just a little bit of antifreeze in the bottom here because I opened that valve, I'll just thread this in loosely just so we don't get any critters crawling up in there. And then we're going to go ahead and shut this up. Okay, so the only thing left to do is connect this line back up to the front, disconnect the antifreeze line to the pump, and hook the pump back up, and everything should be all good, ready to go for spring. Okay, after thinking about it, I wasn't 100% sure if my gray water and black water tank was empty. I can't remember, but we may have used some of the facilities after it's been sitting here in the driveway for the last month. Now my main concern is, even though there's some antifreeze that went into the tank, this pipe here is extremely long, as well as this big elbow here, so if it didn't mix properly, you could have a potential for cracking one of these pipes. So I'm going to open this up. Got just a big bucket underneath here. I'm going to open this up and just make sure I'm seeing pink out of there, and then this can very easily just be flushed down the toilet. So make sure you have gloves on. Take this off here. We're going to try the black water first. Just open it a little bit. Yeah. So we definitely had used that since it was here. So I'm glad I decided to double check this, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of pink. It's probably mixed in there, but we'll go ahead and hit the gray water. Now the gray water, I'm seeing pink almost instantly. So that one was pretty good. We'll let that flush through a little bit. There. I mean, altogether I probably got 2 gallons out of both tanks. I'm going to let this dribble for a little bit. I'm going to close them up, and then just to be sure, I'm going to go ahead and dump some more antifreeze down the toilet and the sinks, just to make sure that there's some good antifreeze in there. But yeah, always double check that. After I thought about it, I thought, you know what, maybe those tanks aren't empty, and that really could have cracked this elbow back here. So good thing we double checked that. So yeah, make sure your tanks are empty and has a little bit of antifreeze in them.